Jeez. It's been a long day, but just a quick update. That Road to 1K special is coming. I haven't forgot about it. And thank you very much for getting me to 1K, but I'll go ahead and give the formal thank you in the actual video. So I'm just going to add this to the beginning of the current video. By the way, quick heads up, these are coming very, very soon to the channel. I already got them in, been burning them in, and listening to them, and the results might actually shock you a bit. Welcome back to yet another truly wireless headphone review. Well, earphone actually. These have no wires, they've got no problemo, except for the fact that you have to connect through Bluetooth and the usual problems with Bluetooth headphones. Okay, so what's the deal with these? The deal with these is as they're Sennheiser. For those of you who have been around, have stuck around the channel for quite a while now, would know that my camera doesn't adjust for some reason, would know that I actually, I'm a big fan of Sennheiser. I have their HD600s, which are my reference headphone, and are many other people's reference headphones. I have their HD800s with a premium aftermarket cable. And, no, that's pretty much, those are the only two Sennheisers I have, but frankly, I think that's more than plenty of Sennheisers you should have, unless you're a Sennheiser fanboy, which, other than being an audiophile, I'm not really one of those. I hate the word audiophile. Can I just say audio enthusiast from now on? Please and thank you. Anyways, Sennheiser, hey, truly wireless product. Yo, so okay, this might actually be pretty good. You never know. Hey, you never know. I went ahead and grabbed these because I said, yeah, these might actually be pretty good. So let's go ahead and find out. Anyways, these are the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2. And as you can see, there are the specs. There's the, this is the box itself. This is what it lists. Multiple languages. And it even has this IQ scanner. It's got the authenticity label, IPX4. AAC, Bluetooth, and aptX by Qualcomm. Sweet. Anyway, let's just jump right in. As far as the contents are concerned, you got the buds themselves, and the buds are actually pretty decent. As you can see here, they have that tiny LED in the inner part of the ear, which is good because you don't need to, why put them on the outside? Who else is going to see them other than, the people around you? There's no point. It comes with the carrying and charging case, which as you can see is made out of a very, very nice cloth material. This thing, this thing feels premium. I'm gonna give them that. It really does feel premium. Comes with a total of 4 silicone ear tip sizes included. It comes with a short USB-C to USB-A charger, the instruction manuals, of course, and don't forget your complimentary snack on the way out. Now, as far as the build quality is concerned, they're really subpar, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. The earbuds themselves are clearly made out of a cheap feeling plastic. Honestly, they're not extremely cheap, but it's far too cheap for $300, man. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, the plastic featured here is just, this ain't $300. I'm sorry. Now, I understand that part of this decision was made in order to reduce the weight, but you really can't help but say, damn, these feel cheap for $300. You really can't. Now, the inside of the case is made out of a similar plastic, which is meh. It's pretty meh. I don't think I can really complain about it, but again, $300, I would expect a better plastic, slightly better. Now, the outside, however, as I had already mentioned, is made out of a really premium feeling cloth material. This part of the case definitely feels like you're getting your money's worth, not because of how reinforced and durable it feels, but because of how different the style is when compared to its competition's cases, which are made usually out of a matte or glossy plastic finish. The 2 buttons located on the outermost section of the earbuds are touch sensitive and are quite responsive. Actually, they're quite responsive. Although my hair can sometimes get in the way of the button, it does not stop it from detecting my presses, even through my hair. That's very, very impressive. And, well, it's a bit of a spoiler as far as comparisons go, which stick around for some comparisons in the near future. Now let's get into the comfort. The buds fit in my ears right out of the box. They do. I'm not saying they're the world's best fit, but they are a very good fit, and they fit comfortably. I'm not certain if the smaller buds will do me justice, but I find the medium buds to be quite adequate. The bud's outermost sections, which is pretty much where the driver sits, literally everything else, sit on the area next to the cavum of the ear quite well. Although these may need some minor readjustments throughout the duration of your listening session, they won't really feel like they are pointed in a way where they may slide off easily. Generally speaking, these are quite comfortable to wear. I have no complaints thus far. And as you all know, I pretty much struggle with fitment issues. I do. So if I'm saying that these fit me relatively well, I'd say they fit you quite well. Definitely quite well. On the tech side of things, the carrying case has an LED indicator right on the back next to the charging port, which lets you know how much battery life is left. The green indicator, the yellow indicator, the red indicator, and the flashing red indicator. Each one of those lets you know of a different level of battery life left on the case itself. Now, the battery life of the buds lasts up to 7 hours on a single charge, which can be extended up to 28 hours total given the additional 21 hours of the case's internal battery life. They do feature an active noise cancellation mode, which they should for $300, although they do possess decent passive isolation. They also feature a transparency mode to be able to hear your surroundings, which is actually quite decent. It's not that bad. They are IPX4 sweat resistant. That means the amount of sweat resistance here is it's not tremendous or anything, but if you happen to be caught in a light rain, on the way to a building or something like that, or if you live in a warm environment where sweating is very much a thing, I would know, then these will definitely stay protected. And generally speaking, you shouldn't really worry about these starting to encounter some sort of issue or start to, die out on you. The two buttons, quote unquote, actions are customizable, but feature the following action stock. On the right earbud, you tap to bring out your assistant. This is the left. You tap to bring out your assistant. You press and hold to raise and keep raising the volume. You tap twice to switch to a transparency mode without music playing, or with music playing if you decide to toggle that within the app. 3 times to activate active noise cancellation. On the left earbud, you can tap to play pause. You can press and hold to lower the volume, once or multiple notches. You can tap twice to skip to the next track, and you can tap 3 times to return to the previous track. On either side, you tap once to answer or hang up, or tap twice to reject the call. As far as the range of these are concerned, I know it's not exactly, I'll get to the details and issues in the notes and observations portion of this review, but as far as the range is concerned on Android, it was 41 steps before they decided to cut off entirely. As far as latency is concerned, this is definitely right down the middle from what I have experienced thus far. Although it is not as horrible as less modern Bluetooth audio products, there is definitely some latency present which can detract from your enjoyment if you start to focus on the speaker's lips and mouth movements too much. So yeah, if you're going to be watching movies with these on a plane or whatever, it might get annoying. Unless it's some sort of movie where you really don't see people talking, or you see them talking from far away, where you don't really notice someone's lips, then you should be fine. All right, now let's go ahead and jump into the sound quality of these. As far as the bass is concerned, the bass is closer to what can be described as neutral in most aspects. So it is slightly forward near the lower mid-bass region, which makes EDM sound a little more enjoyable. That can generally be seen as a good thing, given the fact that EDM is a very popular genre of music at the moment. As far as Zealots of Stockholm is concerned by Childish Gambino, at 1:26, the bass note is not very forward, very respectful. However, it lacks detail in any of that sprinkle and crackle that you hear on top of the note. At 3:07, the sub-bass extension is quite good on that bass valley, and it manages to reproduce an audible tone for the majority of that valley. Another example, The Hammer by Death Clock. The mid-bass in the track is about as forward as it should be, but also has a slight bit of extra bloat to it. It's not terrible. It's definitely not terrible, and it's still quite close to what neutral should be, but it is important to note. Last example, Dream On, the Postmodern Jukebox cover. The string bass never overtakes the other instruments. It remains respectful, quite honestly. That's good. However, it is generally somewhat lacking in texture and detail, which is kind of disappointing considering Sennheiser, well, I guess it is kind of on par as far as like the Sennheiser expectation goes, since Sennheiser has never really been like the bass kings or anything in their general lineup. Now we approach the mids. Another example, or well, same example but different parts. Dream On postmodern jukebox cover. The female vocals are forward and detailed enough, but possess a slightly anemic timbre to them. Like I can say that these are detailed enough to make the crackles in her mic's audio noticeable. That is impressive. That is something that I don't know about hear them, but at least notice them. I haven't thus far on any other truly wireless earphone that I have tried recently. That is very interesting. It's very, very commendable. Now the cello solo at 231. The pros. The cellos are actually quite detailed and nimble. Very good. The cons. They are somewhat anemic in timbre as well, and they really fade behind the female vocals near the end of the solo. So, wow, that was pretty disappointing, if I'm not gonna lie. Another example. Titanium, the postmodern jukebox cover at the 10-second mark. You can kind of hear Von Smith licking his lips, but not really. It's meh, if I'm being honest. Male vocals are actually somewhat sibilant with these earbuds, and male vocals are somewhat anemic as well. Really not much else to mention here. They're really not impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Male vocals are just not the forte of this headphone. Now, as far as treble is concerned, this one is quite the double-edged sword. Throughout the majority of the upper mids and treble, they are actually surprisingly detailed for a Bluetooth product. Like wow, I was actually pretty impressed. However, this is largely due to its treble response, which is far too forward from neutral for treble-heavy tracks, unfortunately. An example, Bangarang by Skrillex and Syra. Listen, the track is just far too hot in the treble to listen to comfortably. It just is. It just is. Sibilance is definitely a thing. It is definitely a thing on these. Now, before the conclusion, I'm going to make some notes and observations while testing and using these in my personal experience. Yes, there is an EQ built into the Sennheiser app that only applies to the Momentum True Wireless 2. That's in theory good, but there is a catch. The EQ is not as simple as just choosing a number and saving your option, like it usually is, where you have multiple areas of the frequency response, and then it lets you use a dial, a slider, or you can just manually type in the number you want to raise it or lower it as much as you please. This app utilizes a strange type of EQ that functions using a single white dot, which is then moved across the spectrum and affects the general EQ line, the frequency response as a whole. Therefore, complete customization is just not quite possible. It inserts... Oh, no, I'm supposed to insert. Anyway, the other issue with this is that it only allows for large adjustments. So setting the EQ dot slightly off center will force the dot to return to the center. This means that if you would want to apply an EQ setting this way, you would be forced to apply the opposite effect to the other part of the frequency. So for example, my overall conclusion about the earbuds frequency response is that they are quite decent, but they could use a bit of a pull down on the upper mid to treble response. So if I want to do this, I am also forced to boost the bass, which is something I do not want to do because I feel the bass is just fine on its own. Any more than that, you start getting a little iffy. After applying the best setting I could possibly find that the system would actually allow me to select, the overall result was that the treble was still quite sibilant, but the bass had become bloated and somewhat muddy. So really, almost none of the cons. Almost none of the pros, but all of the cons. So thanks, Sennheiser. Another thing to note is that while testing for range on both Android and Apple, and yes, I know I say Apple, I tried connecting to my iPad. Funny enough, even though my iPad said it was connected to the earbuds, it played sound through the iPad's built-in speakers. Then I realized it was still connected to my Galaxy. So I manually disconnected them from the Galaxy, from the Bluetooth menu, and tried the iPad again. Still no sound. At this point, I factory reset the earbuds and tried reconnecting to my Galaxy first, then my iPad. So what seemed to finally work is completely closing the Sennheiser app on my Galaxy, then opening it and connecting the earbuds to the iPad. But I then tried to reconnect to my Galaxy using the same method, and I was unable to. This is a major flaw. This is a major flaw to watch for if you plan on using these on more than one device. Look, let's just jump into the conclusion and get this over with already. The sound on these is definitely polarizing. It is. Although the bass is within good range, it lacks detail. The mids are somewhat thin, but can have pretty decent detail. The highs are way too intense and sibilant. Out of this comes good detail retrieval on treble mild tracks, but definitely possess some very irritable treble responses on the treble heavy tracks. As far as soundstage and imaging goes, did you happen to hear me mention those? Well, guess what? I honestly did not get to critically listen for these since the connection issues got to me. I just couldn't continue reviewing these. And I had to leave soundstage and imaging out because the connection issues just frustrated me. They don't. Off the top of my head, if you really want to know, soundstage was, it was meh. It was not narrow, but it definitely wasn't like that wide either. It's just average, to be honest. Imaging, I think it was pretty good. It was pretty decent, honestly. I did like the imaging, that's from what I heard. Now, the biggest caveat to these are the finicky connection issues regarding switching across multiple devices and the irritable treble. The app's included equalizer it's garbage. It is. And honestly, it just does not get the job done at all. So, Sennheiser, kings of audiophile products, not so much kings of mainstream consumer products. So, are these barely even the gesture? Yeah, they're the gesture. That makes sense. Okay, question and answer. Should I buy these for workouts? No. Although they are IPX4 moisture resistant, they will fall out of your ears if you're going on a run or simply shifting your position to like a push-up or sit-up position. Also, this rating is not as secure as the competitors, so I quietly wouldn't trust these with sweat on heavy workouts at all. Should I buy these if my top priority is getting the best sound quality? Well, despite the cons and their frequency response, they're probably the most detailed, truly wireless headphones on the market. I'm not gonna lie, they are. However, their EQ, their nasty sound signature, and their finicky connection issues make them a less than worthy option when compared to the competitors. After that, factor in that these are worth $300 MSRP, and it's game over. Complete deal breakers at this price point. That's gonna do it for me. Once again, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And go ahead and leave any comments below if you think this would help you out. I really hope it helped you out because that's kind of the primary purpose of these videos. Don't forget to check out the Patreon. Don't forget to, stay tuned for additional content. We're definitely going to have some comparisons soon. And hey, to all of you audiophiles out there, I know I've been exposing you to mainstream consumer stuff, but I had all these. I got them in for testing. I had to post these reviews so that somebody somewhere could benefit off of them. So, look, it is what it is. It's almost over. I'm going to bring in some stacks. I'm going to bring in some hi-fi-men. It's all going to be, it's all going to be Gucci once again. So stay tuned for that. And I really hope this video helped you out. See you in the next one.